Regular board meeting, January 23rd, 7 o'clock. It's called to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Williams. Here. Trustee Wilson.
Here.
Trustee Woods.
Present.
Trustee McFarland.
Present.
Trustee Payton.
Here.
Trustee Alfred Grant.
Here.
Mayor Copeland.
Present. Please join me for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance. Approval of the minutes.
Madam Mayor, I would like to make a motion that we table the minutes until next board meeting. We had got them late.
Second.
Motion second. Motion by trustee Brooks, second by trustee Wilson. Roll call, please.
Trustee Williams. Aye. Trustee Wilson. Aye. Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McFarland.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Alfred Grant.
Aye.
Mayor Copeland.
Aye. Thank you. General public comments, please. General public. All right, I'm sorry. Was it Stephen Hyman?
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Steve Hendy. I'm the president of Showing Animals Respect and Kindness, an animal protection organization. Acting on a tip regarding a large number of pit bull dogs, I flew a camera-equipped drone around the property at 23257 Central Avenue. I estimated there to be approximately 5 dozen pit bulls of various ages on the main property and also just across the road in a wooded area. In a subsequent conversation with the occupant of the property, he stated that there were 65 dogs on the property. The occupant claimed that his dogs were for shows and for hunting. In my experience, show dogs are not left chained to stakes in the outdoors. And 65 pit bulls for hunting is excessive, to say the least. On December 13, 2017, Officer Joel Marchio with Will County Animal Control checked on the dogs and the count was down to 39 dogs. The reason for the fluctuation is unknown. What is known is that this operation has been ongoing and growing for well over a decade. Ordinance 610-09 sets a limit of 3 dogs per household. I would like to know if this property has a variance as to the number of dogs on site. If not, I'd like to know when the ordinance might be enforced. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like for you to do that for, I know I received a call as well, Steve, and I'll let the chief address that.
First, I appreciate you coming up and stating those facts and stating your concerns. The University Park Police Department, along with the Humane Society, did go to that property. The owner of their property willingly allowed 5 University Park police officers into their home. We inspected the property, the inside of the property as well as outside of the property. We did receive information on every single animal that's there. They have proper tags at this point. They had vaccinations. They have proper vet records. And based on our review, and we did take pictures of the entire area as well as the outdoor area, it does not seem to be a violation of any ordinances. And I will tell you the reason why it's not a violation of ordinance. That area is not zoned as residential, it's zoned as industrial. I am working with the village attorney, with your email that I sent out today, to modify our ordinances so we can address those issues out there in that area. But we have no reasonable suspicion. Reasonable suspicion was generated. We did go to the home. Like I said, the individual allowed the police department to inspect the entire home and property. They did allow us to inspect all the records with the dogs that were located there. The individual showed several trophies, which he won for the condition of the dogs that he had or has had in the past. There were kennels and sleeping quarters for the dogs in the home. There was sufficient food located in the home. And I would like to ask, can you give me the date that you took those overhead pictures?
Well, there was actually more than one date. We did some in November, and we did some, I believe it was in October.
Okay, okay. So you know, we did go out there. We did go inside the home. The owner of the home willingly let us inside his home, which he had no right, you know, he could have told us, no, you can't come in at all whatsoever. We did go in the home. We did inspect the property. We did inspect the animals. They had proper records, each animal, and they're properly registered with the village. The issue is our ordinance says a limit of 3 dogs, but it says in a residential area. That area of University Park is not considered residential, it's considered industrial. And some of the areas actually zoned as farmland. So legally, it's not an ordinance violation, but we did instruct our village attorney to review that ordinance and make the necessary changes so we could take action. It's not that the police department does not want to take action. We took the reports very seriously even before the footage was placed on YouTube. We had already been out there. We've already done a police report and a full case file on it. We've actually went out there as recent as yesterday, based on several phone calls that we received at the village hall. So we did send officers at that property yesterday to do another inspection of the property as well. So this will require ordinance change. If we did write citations on this individual, he's probably going to go to administrative review and say that our ordinance states specifically residential property, specific home ownership, and that area is not zoned residential. So we are working on that to address your concerns.
If I could throw just another couple of quick comments, and I know your time is valuable. When we were there at one point, and the Will County Police were out there with a local humane society, we had some residents. One gentleman in particular stopped, asked what was going on, and he was curious because they had pit bulls escape and get up into the area where they live, which is just to the north of that property, over the road. I forget what road that is, but just over the road, there's lots of houses up there, of course. And he said that sometimes they get up there. I'm not a person that bashes pit bulls, but I do know that there are a lot of issues that can arise. There's a liability there, and it's not just the liability of the homeowner, but for the village to know that there's 65, and I believe there's a liability there.
Well,
also, for him to say that there's 65 dogs for show, you don't keep show dogs outside, and for hunting, that's just false. And of course, that's what sets alarms off for us as an animal protection organization. When somebody just tells us something where 2 + 2 no longer equals 4, we have concerns. And we want to raise them.
In the videos I see 2 dogs or maybe 3 dogs outside. I don't see 65 dogs outside based on the overhead footage that you provided. And I would think somebody with that many dogs would have more dogs than that outside in the area. And so we did review that. Secondly, as far as the liability for the village did everything that we legislatively and legally can do as far as inspecting the property. And the homeowner could have told us that, hey, you can't come on our property at all, because honestly, just the simple video footage that you had was not enough to articulate a search warrant to search that property for dog fighting or any illicit legal violation that may have occurred. And I will also say is, we are actually conducting an assessment with the assessor's office in Will County because in some records it shows that house being in unincorporated Will County, and in certain records it shows that it is on University Park's tax rolls. So we're trying, I did speak to code enforcement today, so we're trying to verify, is that property actually in University Park? Is that in unincorporated Will County? Is there an issue as far as how the property is listed? So we're looking into those things. Also, what we're looking at also is if he is actually has show dogs, if he's actually selling the show dogs, then we may potentially have a code enforcement violation there. So we're going to go, I did assign code enforcement today, as I came into office, to go back out to that location, to question the individual, and ask them, you know, the purpose of the dogs, is he conducting the business, is he selling them? Because if that's the case, then he's required to have a business license, which requires a code inspection for police and fire. So we're looking at various creative avenues to attempt to address this matter. The main avenue is getting our ordinance updated to specifically not say a residential area, but to include other areas or all areas of town. And the village attorney just received documentation on that today.
Okay.
Trustee Oscar Brown?
Yes, yes. Quick question. What did the, you said animal control or some sort of humane society, what did they say about the conditions of the place when they went to inspect?
I don't think there were any complaints about the condition of the dogs. And when we were looking, our camera, we found one dog that seemed very skinny, but generally that was not the case. I'm not claiming that what I saw were dogs that were being overtly abused, other than they're staked to a chain. They're chain staked in a circle and they're outside the whole time. Pit bulls are not real good with cold weather. They're not cold weather dogs.
The next question I got for you is,
Were you finished?
no, I was not.
No, I'm talking about him.
Oh.
Answer.
Oh,
No, I was done.
okay. Yeah, next question I have, you said, are you a resident around that area?
I am not.
All right, but you said you talked to other people who are residents there?
When we were there and the Will County Sheriff came in and I believe it was one of the local humane societies, they came in to check the records. And as we didn't go on the property, we were standing on the road. So when some of the local residents came by, they stopped and they said, hey, what's going on? And one gentleman in particular said, I've been wondering about this place because we have pit bulls that show up here. They get off the property and they show up. He kind of pointed up to there's a retention pond or something up there.
I would recommend to you that you will look on, instead of 610-09, I would try 610-10 if we want to do something about the conditions. That talks about offenses on sanitary conditions of animals, pens, etc. And it in particular mentions a nuisance. So I would recommend trying under 610- rather than 610-09 and try that.
Okay. Thank you.
Question.
Trustee Wilson?
Village Manager Pate, when the police department went out, did they, and they were allowed on the property,
Yes.
did they look at where the animals are staying? In the picture, it appeared that it might have been little pods.
Outside there are some areas where the dogs work out at. I understand, in particular where the chains are. The chains are there so the animals don't leave the property because I guess the animals were susceptible to leaving the property. The police department, and I'm going to say this very clearly and poignantly because this issue has been brought up multiple times and the police department on multiple times have been on the property. The living conditions were conducive for the animals. There's no signs of abuse. There's no signs of dog fighting. Each dog had a proper kennel to sleep in. There was enough food and water to be there. The house did not have a foul smell. The house didn't smell of feces or urine. And it should be made noteworthy that every dog had papers. All shot records were current. All medical records were current on each animal.
My question was more to the pods, the living arrangements outside. If they're living in those...
They're not living outside. They live indoors.
Oh, okay, so that's just...
You're saying, do you have documentation showing that they live outside?
I can get together with you later if you'd like.
Yeah.
But we have video footage that shows the dogs, they are outside. They're outside early in the morning, they're outside. Not all of them. You've got some dogs that may be kept, and that may bring the number higher than 65. When we did our aerial surveillance, when I talked to the owner, and this was on video, by the way, I said, I'm estimating about 60 dogs on your property. He said, I think maybe about 65. He said it, I didn't, and it was videotaped because we videotape these conversations. And when we were out standing on the road, when the Will County Sheriff's Department, the local Humane Society went onto the property, they did find frozen water. And it wasn't as cold as it has been.
So let me ask you, why didn't the Will County Sheriff or the Humane Society at that time take action?
Well, for frozen water, I don't think they're going to take all the dogs off for frozen water. There's a real concern, it's a concern on our part, what would happen if all those dogs are removed? We're, as an animal protection group, we're not trying to get these dogs killed.
Right.
But this man he's raising dogs, he's breeding dogs.
Understood.
That's why if you go on Google Earth and you look at that property, and you look through the years, you'll see that there was a significant expansion in 2012.
Okay.
But he was doing it prior to that. This thing's been going on a long time.
I understand. So, I would tell you, we're doing the research. What I tell you what is concerning to me, and I will make sure I pull the Will County Sheriff's records and pull their reports, because I'm sure they did one. What's concerning to me, there's the Humane Society on premises, along with the Will County Sheriff's Office, and they inventory the property. They have the same legal authority as University Park to remove those animals if there was a sign of animal cruelty or any type of misdemeanor treatment of cruelty to animals, of animal abuse, or anything like that, or many charges that can be charged. They didn't do anything. And like I said, when we received a call on it, we actually didn't have officers go out there not once, not twice, but 3 times. And all 3 times we were on the property. All 3 times we inspected the property. And I know when the second time we went out, we had the Humane Society out with us as well. We contacted the vet as well. So as far as the village's position is, I understand where you're coming from. We have to make sure we do the proper research to do things legally. And what I cannot do is violate somebody's constitutional rights by going on their property, removing their dogs, and I don't have any legal position to do that. So what we want to do is, I found some holes in some of our ordinances that we're going to repair and fix. These are not things that can be done overnight. The ordinance has to be drafted, has to go through attorney review, has to come back before the board, has to be ratified, and it takes 30 days to take an effect. And even at that time, I may ask the attorney to say that there's no grandfather period, but even at that time, if we do enforce the ordinance, that's going to place the village in a liability situation, because they're going to say we created an ordinance just for them so we can remove their animals. But I care about animals, and I worked at and came from the Cook County Sheriff's Office, and Sheriff Tom Dart was all about animal cruelty and doing those type of investigations. So I came from an environment where he assigned us to do animal cruelty investigations. So I understand the passion you guys are coming from. I just need to make sure we have enough evidence, enough reasonable suspicion to enforce our ordinances, and if there are criminal violations, we'll take that into account. So rest assured, we are on it. We are looking into it, and there are reports on file. We just have to make sure we articulate it properly and do the right thing. And that's where we're at this point. And like I said, you had another law enforcement agency out there as well that may have felt the same way and decided not to take action either, and they had the Humane Society with them. So we are aware. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so
Trustees and
much.
Chief.
Thank you. Okay, Pete Griffin. We will follow up on that.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to know, in driving through the town, I want to know what would be done about Brittany Woods since it's boarded up. Some of the windows are knocked out now, and that's right on our thoroughfare. So I'd like to know what will be done about that, or are you going to make them clean it up or do anything? Second, I want to know, with the people owing money in the town center, are they going to be made to catch up or pay up? One is an habitual, I call it deadbeat. They got a daycare center over in Park Forest, and I know they not, I know they paying rent. So if they can pay them, they can pay us. So what's going to be done about that? And I also like to say I think the board made a mistake with getting rid of Olson and Sturgis. Madison had the same attorney we had, and I know for a fact we were working on Pete's Grocery, but I don't blame him. Why would he bring something after he's been dismissed? So congratulations, Madison. Madison has Pete Grocery. We were working on that because I was working with Mr. Olson on that project. That's the same attorney, that's the same law firm who got the line of credit for the village. That now we can't even get a line of credit. We got to go through the check. Those are my comments.
Yes, sir.
think have we got any public comment before this, or am I-
No, we have not.
Okay. In that case, I'd just like to take a moment to answer. Just to answer your Keith, I do plan on making an announcement in regards to Burnham Avenue. I'm going to be asking the mayor to put something on the agenda that I have yet to draft. I'm going to call it the Burnham Avenue, Burnham Drive Initiative. So we can start dealing with some of the boarded up houses along with Burnham Avenue. And as far as the quote, use the word deadbeats that you would call them, we shouldn't be turning down any revenue. We're in a revenue situation where we need to get revenue.
Yes.
We need to get revenue, we need to get revenue, we need to get revenue. We should make that our top priority. We are in a deficit, we should not be turning down revenue. If somebody has not paid their rent, there are processes to eliminate them from renting in the town center because we need to get good paying tenants in the Village University Park. Now these so-called deadbeats that we called them before, I addressed it a long time ago, and I hate to hear that it's still a problem, but we need to get revenue. So that means we should do everything possible to make sure we get revenue, and that means getting people to pay for the space that they've agreed to pay for. I can't stay anywhere for free. If I don't pay my rent, I have to go somewhere else or practice at my house or do something, but we need the revenue. And if somebody's not paying their rent, there's a process for that. It's called an eviction or a forcible entry into detainer action if you want to get technical. But we need to start implementing those things that are important to the Village University Park. In particular, I'll say it again, revenue. From all sources and any sources.
Thank you, sir.
To answer that question,
Please.
okay,
Because
and to answer this question, I'll just answer simply as this. Any unit or any tenant in the town center that has not paid rent to the village, I assure you, if you go and look up on the Circuit Court of Will County's website, I assure you see eviction notices and eviction suits that were filed as of last week. I assure you, if you look it up, it's there. So this village is moving in the right direction. This village is taking action on tenants of the town center that's not paying rent. We're also taking action on tenants that have expired leases that want to stay in the town center and doing updated leases. A lot of these things were supposed to happen. I know when we did these updated leases, I want to say this happened in 2016 timeframe by a previous village manager. I don't think anything took place there. I think I came in August of this year, and the new leases that were approved in 2016 were never implemented. And I had to go through and visit every business and look for current leases that were never done. So in saying all that, we're on top of that. That was taken care of as a couple weeks ago. As far as Burnham Avenue and Maple Leaf Apartments, I'm aware of the board up apartments. The natural disaster occurred last year during a very bad storm. I think the fire department recalls the whole roof of that entire complex fell off in the middle of University Parkway in Burnham. So they're going through renovations. So that's why you see the boarded up windows and doors, because people were going in and squatting and going into homes during the rehab. So what Maple Leaf decided to do is, because of the extensive damage, they're actually doing a gut rehab of the entire apartment complex in that area, and they're actually revamping it with the latest and greatest of, I guess, renter type equipment. So they're revamping that. So those are not abandoned homes there. Those are actually homes that are being dealt with due to the insurance claim, due to a natural disaster, or act of God, as we said. And the third question was, I don't recall. What was the third question? Revenue. In regards to what, sorry?
Pete's Grocery.
Oh, in Pete's Grocery Store. Well, you know, I would find it very hard pressed to see Pete's Grocery or any large grocery store coming to the village based on the last two news articles that just came out. So it'd be difficult for me to believe that they would just magically appear right now, but if they did, I guess that is our loss. But I know we're working on a lot of economic development initiatives for our industrial park and within our town center and other areas, and I think we're moving in the right direction. So as far as economic development goes, I'm sure this board will support me and getting businesses and getting revenue to the village. As far as all sources of revenue, I'm a believer of getting all sources of revenue that we can for the village. I think that's a very important thing, but we do have to look at revenue that's affecting our taxpayers as well. We don't want to necessarily implement revenue-generating initiatives that we're gouging at our taxpayers to obtain that revenue. What we have to do is create programs where we generate net revenue that's being universal instead of just targeting our residents within the village. So, I mean, like I said, we're looking at a lot of initiatives, we're making a lot of progress, but again, it takes time. And I think we're moving in the right direction. And I think the first direction we're moving in is transparency, which we've been showing. I think over the last several weeks, the village has been very transparent in regards to its financial situation. The village has been very transparent in regards to the actions it's taking based on acts of financial malfeasance. Financial irresponsibility by various people over several year time frame, even before 2011. So we're taking those moves, we're taking those actions in a positive light. But as far as the people in the town center, we're on top of that. I think that's the main number one goal. So we are taking care of those things in a timely and effective fashion.
And also, excuse me, and also to address the fact that I do know Sheila, the mayor, Mr. Griffin, while you're walking on, want to make a statement. I wanted to let you know that they have an economic development there. And unfortunately, I was talking to her, we had our mayor's meeting, and they lost 4 stores. And that's a big hurt for them, for Sam's. They lost Target, they're losing Target, they're losing J.C. Penney's, and right now, another store, which I won't speak of right now, is talking about leaving. So I'm very happy that they can get a grocery store because that will help Park Forest, and they're very strong right now in that economically and financially, but they're struggling trying to get a grocery store. Pete's had entertained, but when they look at the news media all the time, and believe it or not, I had a developer tell me that they read next door. And with all that, they say, why should we come there when all that's there? Might not even consider working with us. So that's a thing that we're putting out there negatively. And maybe if we would work together, and I know we have issues and it's not perfect, but this didn't happen overnight. And I had one person that just told me they shred their paper because they'll never get their money, their investment. There are a lot of people that invest in that grocery store, and they have not gotten their money, and they're getting upset and talking about getting their money back too. So it's a long story behind that grocery store and why we haven't gotten one. So at any time, anyone that wants to talk to me about that, feel free to call me or come and meet with me. I'm available every Friday. If you want to know factual things or informational things, I can help. Thank you.
Just one last thing. If there's any, I keep turning it off.
I think the Lord's turning it off.
That's a good word.
You know what I'm saying?
Make sure the motion for use not to consider. If the process is delayed only 6 months down the road, and then let it fall. So the motion for use not to proceed as soon as the process gets started, if there's any kind of delay, encourage somebody to fence. That's it.
Okay. All right. With that said, the next person is Maurice Brown. I won't call his nickname. Mo Brown.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening,
and
sir.
Board members.
Thank you for
and the
addressing
entire board. And you could call me anything you want.
Oh, thank you.
Right. So, first of all, I just want to thank each and every one of you for all you do. You get a lot of criticism, and I know how tough it is to be a public official. And I'm here just easy to say 1 or 2 things. I'm here to extend whatever service I could, provide this board, provide this village, and any expertise I have, or people that I know to do whatever I could. I heard Board Member or trustee, village trustee Oscar Brown, say we need revenue, I can help in that way. I can help in many different capacities. And I would like, if we could get the swimming pool open, and anything I can do to make that happen. So I know I'm not the most easy person to get in contact with. I think many of the trustees can attest to that.
Every Monday night.
Everybody.
Every Monday night.
Monday nights at different occasions, but the mayor has my email address, and you're more than welcome to share it. And again, please reach out to me. I almost said I'm the good Maurice Brown. No, I don't like I love when you said the Lord said, I'm Maurice Brown, the Mo Brown is here in University Park. I love him as well. University Park has been an extension of my family. I'm not a resident per se of University Park, but I do represent University Park in 2 capacities, as a township official as well as a board member, school board member. But I want to be known more than that. I'm on the spiritual side. The Bible says, give no thought for tomorrow, because tomorrow is not promised to us. And so by the years that I have, I don't know when the Lord that I serve, the God that I serve is going to call me home. But I want to be known as just giving back to the community. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mo. Hey, Mo Brown, this is Kurt. How you doing? Right here.
Oh, I'm like, that doesn't look like Curtis.
Listen, we've been knowing each other for like 20 years now, and now we've played on the same basketball team at Greek. And you just being modest, you have businesses, you are very, very entrepreneurial in your spirit. And I visit your establishment every day down at the Health Center, at LA Fitness downtown on Randolph. And he has a thriving business that he caters to the people at the health club there. And the drinks are very, very good. So you're just being modest, and I appreciate all the help and everything that you've been doing for the community for all these years. And I appreciate you, brother. I love you.
Thank you. I love you guys too. Big deal. You go back 15 years of campaign.
I'm going to ask this question.
Yes.
Is it possible, and since we got our chief and village manager here, will we ever get to the point that the board, your school board, would be able to have a University Park officer in that school? Because if I'm not mistaken, is the majority of our kids in that school, UP school, am I correct? Because most of them are, right? Or
Well, yes, you're right. 62% African Americans. I don't know what the breakdown is in University Park resident, but 62% African Americans in the district of 5,000, 75% African American thereabout in the high school, just the high school.